Reiner Braun has one of the highest body counts in the series when you consider his and the other warriors' actions are responsible for Wall Maria's breach and the subsequent death that followed. But he didn't start out as a ruthless warrior for Marley, and he doesn't stay that way either. Reiner starts off as a meek child, seemingly unaware to the full extent of the prejudice the Eldians face. Maybe this is due to him being involved in the warrior program, so even as a child candidate he was most likely treated better than most. We see just how unaware he is when he finds his father. He doesn't understand the implications of a Marleyan and Eldian having children together, so he thinks they'll be able to live as a happy family, especially now since he's an honorary Marleyan. But of course, that's not how this world works. You might be a Marleyan on paper, but you'll always be seen as lesser, which is actually something Eren tries to exploit later. The other thing these scenes of Reiner as a child show us is the main driving force for his actions: acceptance, but more specifically acceptance from his mother and those close to him.
Did you guys hear? In just a few years, we'll be sent to attack Paradis Island. It's almost time for us to inherit our Titans. Out of us 7, 6 will be made warriors at once.
No way! I'll finally become Marleyan!
Huh? What are you excited for? If anyone's getting left behind, it's you.
What?
What do you got that the rest of us don't? Are you real strong? Real smart? A crack shot? Good in a fight, maybe? No. You only made it this far by constantly going on about your love for Marley.
You see, Reiner's always been an outcast or a tool for others, even amongst the other warrior candidates. He was never the strongest or the smartest or the fastest, but he had heart and determination to get the acceptance from his mother and Marley. But just like his mother used Reiner as a tool for her sake, so too does Marcel, because it wasn't Reiner's grit that earned him the Armored Titan. In fact, he hadn't earned it at all. Marcel had used Reiner as a tool to save his brother Porco from the short life of a Titan shifter. It's only after they're on Paradis when Reiner is told the truth, but by then it's already too late. He's the tool for Marley now. The discussion is cut short though, once Marcel is eaten by Ymir's Titan. Now, without a leader in this foreign land, the group is torn between returning and facing the consequences of failure, or pushing forward without a leader to guide them. With their adrenaline still pumping, and the night's trauma still fresh in their minds, Reiner plans to be their new leader, weirdly morphing himself to embody the personality traits of their previous one. Because, from a child's perspective, what better way to receive acceptance from others than to mimic someone who already has what you want? Though I said mimic before, the word mimic may be a bit misleading, as I think Reiner does truly become this kind of man as he grows to adulthood. I just believe it started out that way. Sometime after this shift in personality, however, is when Reiner and Bertolt commit their necessary evil that kickstarts the story. Still just a boy acting as a tool for Marley, having no doubts, just doing what he believes will finally give him the acceptance he's been chasing. And ironically it does, but not in the way he'd hoped. I mean, just look at the difference between his experience as a warrior candidate versus his training as a cadet. As a warrior, he would never have made it if it wasn't for Marcel pulling strings, but as a cadet, he doesn't just do well, he thrives, coming second only to Mikasa in the final ranking for the 104th Cadet Corps. But it isn't just Reiner that's different, it's the whole dynamic. He's not just a tool for Marley scrambling for the top of the heap so only he and his family can benefit. As a cadet, a large majority are fighting for the safety of everyone around them. They're all brothers and sisters in arms, though that's not to say the cadets aren't used as tools for Paradis. Erwin. Of all the things Reiner's been told of Paradis, of these island devils, everything he thought he'd face once finally reaching this place, he never expected to find the acceptance he's been chasing his whole life, and this tears him in two internally. These people truly love and rely on him as a comrade, and he loves them too, which is why he takes on this alter ego when committing these necessary evils he believes he has to do for his acceptance. All for a distant memory of people who never truly cared about him. Take the murder of Marco, for example, where he questions Annie's commitment to Marley. parroting their hateful rhetoric against the devils of Paradis. He takes on this alter ego because he can't face the thought of personally killing someone who's accepted him. You see, Reiner wants to have his cake and eat it too. He wants acceptance from both sides, but that's just not possible at this point of the story. Though Reiner isn't always shifting his personality when siding with Marley. In the conversation before Marco inadvertently uncovers their lies, he appears like his usual self. It's only after his lie is unearthed that his alter ego takes over to preserve this lie.
They're gambling everything. For all they know, if Eren gets eaten, then their best hope will be gone for good.
His death would be a problem for us, too. If he goes down, I'll step in with my Titan.
What if he doesn't? We risked a lot to make that hole. Should we really let him plug it?
Yeah, we should. 5 years we searched for a lead like this, and now we finally found it.
Reiner? Bertolt? Sorry, but what were you talking about? You're gonna step in with your Titan? And Bertolt, you said you made that hole? What is this?
Marco. Everything you just heard was a joke.
I also believe the same sentiments are held by Bertolt, though to a lesser extent. Up till this point, each time the two have broken through the walls, they've done the bare minimum, without directly attacking and killing people. Though Reiner does run through the interior wall, so maybe you could say he did directly attack people, but I'd argue that's because he hadn't been accepted by them yet. I feel like if they truly hated these people, they would do more damage in their Titan forms before leaving. When Bertolt kicked through the wall the second time, he could have killed cadets on top of the wall, many of which he knew. Although I can think of a few reasons as to why they wouldn't go on murdering sprees in their Titan forms. When they first broke through the wall, they didn't know who had the coordinate, so you could say they didn't want to risk killing him, so they did the bare minimum. But maybe I'm thinking too much into this. But I digest. We see some more examples later on of Reiner not drastically changing personality when doing necessary evils. One of those examples is during Annie's attempt to capture Eren beyond the walls. We get to see Reiner playing both sides, but he doesn't take on this alter ego seen before. I believe this is because he doesn't have to do anything overtly evil to the Eldians. He just has to subtly point Annie in the right direction and continue to play his part. This doesn't take away from the gravity of his actions, of course, but it's the lie that Reiner tells himself so he can sleep at night and continue his mission. However, this lie he tells himself will only protect him so far. He can't undertake his mission without directly betraying the people that have grown to become his friends. And they most certainly are his friends. He cares about these people, especially Historia.
Smells good too.
If we skip ahead to the Clash of the Titan arc, while they're in the ruins of the castle, Reiner risks his life to protect Connie when there's no real reason for him to do so at this point, for Marley's sake that is. And it's only shortly after their night in the castle ruins where Reiner reveals himself as the Armored Titan, and that's because he knows he has to pick a side. Since Annie's capture, he and Bertolt are already under suspicion as being her accomplices, and when he finally sees Zeke's Beast Titan on Paradis, he knows the conflict will begin shortly. He'll have to do the necessary evil of betraying his new friends and comrades to stop the rumbling from happening. And I mean, logically this makes sense, right? It's better to betray those friends if it'll stop billions of people from dying. I think Reiner is almost certain to reveal himself following that night, and once he's on the wall talking to Eren, he knows the jig is up. There's no point lying now, and even if he wanted to, these people would never trust him again. But part of him still wants to side with these people, which is why he tried to convince Eren to come with him. But after his refusal, his self-doubt begins to creep in. He remarks that he was just a child when this mission began, and if only he'd known beforehand the devils of Paradis would welcome and accept him as one of their own, he wouldn't have become so torn between both sides. Even when he finally decides to side with Marley, he's still plagued with self-doubt. He He doesn't know if it's the right choice. He only knows that there's no other option for him but to fight.
That's the problem. I've been here too long for my own good. 3 years of this madness. Surrounded by idiots. We were kids. What did we know about anything? Why did there have to be people like this? Why? Why did I let myself devolve into such a half-assed piece of shit? It's too late now. Damned if I know what's right anymore. Who cares? It is what it is. No choice but to face what I've done. As a warrior, no road left but the one that leads to the end.
Reiner, right now? Here? We're doing this?
Yes. Right here, right now. We settle this once and for all!
Aaron! Get out of here!
Bertolt!
Just look at the pain on Reiner and Bertolt's faces when their betrayal is finally revealed. Reiner is stone-faced, almost as if he's desensitized to avoid the pain. Although, they did just get chefed up by Mikasa, so maybe that's why they look this way. Following this fight, after they've captured Eren, there's one of my favourite scenes in the show, with Eren and Reiner inside the Titan Forest. After talking for a while, Reiner's personality shifts back to his normal self, almost as if it's a last-ditch effort to cling on to some normalcy and protect himself from this overt betrayal of Eren and the scouts. But he's quickly talked back by Bert, who reminds him he's a warrior. It's as if Reiner is going through the 5 stages of grief. In this case, he's grieving the loss of those friendships he's betrayed. Up until this point, we've seen him in denial, and here we see his anger.
You're just murderers. Psychotic mass murderers who snuffed out the lives of countless people that never did you any wrong.
Don't you think I'm aware of that fact? I don't need you shoving it down my goddamn throat!
Then stop acting like you've got any right to feel sorry for yourself! We're living in a hell you two created! Are you proud of yourselves? You're not one of us! You've never been! You're not even human anymore!
Murder policy? Is that what you hope to get out of calling us murderers? Want us to feel bad? Want us to take the blame? Who are you talking to? The people you thought you knew don't exist! They're dead!
But the stages of grief aren't a linear path, so we see multiple of these emotions out of sequence with Reiner. Before his rage, we see some depression and sadness, and going forward we'll see many of these themes prop up. Though going forward from here, we won't be seeing Reiner's personality shift between his alter ego anymore. It seems that now his personalities have finally collided. He sides with Marley for now, but those feelings of betrayal are forever present, and they'll reach a boiling point later on. He keeps the same resolve from his reveal atop the wall beyond this scene, following similar themes to what we've already discussed. So to avoid repeating myself and making this section of the video too long, I'm going to skip ahead quite a bit here once he finally goes back to living in Marley, since after the time skip is when we see the next big shift in his personality. After the time skip, we're introduced to Reiner during the last moments of a new war between Marley and the Mid-East Allied forces, brought on from their failure on Paradis, as they fight to stay on top with the power of the Titans waning. While Marley is able to stay on top for now, they are beginning to show cracks, and not just figuratively, but in a literal sense, as Reiner takes some serious damage during this battle. One of Reiner's aliases is Marley's shield, so him being injured by the new weaponry is a not so subtle nod to Marley's power over the other nations beginning to crack. During this battle, we get to see a little hint to where Reiner's mind is still at. When dropping into Fort Salva, upon seeing the anti-Titan artillery on the walls, he is reminded of the walls of Paradis.
Still. Another wall. I'm sick and tired of all these walls.
It just shows how prevalent those memories of his time there are, especially when you consider how long it's been. He spent 5 years on Paradis, growing from a child of 12 to a teenager of 17, and now it's been roughly another 4 years since returning to Marley, but those memories are still at the forefront of his mind. The simple sight of a wall reminds him of those times.
Everything okay, Gabi? You seem upset.
You do know that Aunt Karina's worried about you, right? She says that you changed on the island, that her kid is gone.
Well, I left as a 12-year-old boy and came back a grown man, so she's not exactly wrong.
And I think a large reason why these memories are so heavy on his mind are because those are some of his most formative years. He went there as a child shouldering all these responsibilities, and he became reliable and independent. He built friendships with people that truly cared about him and weren't just using him as a tool. All the things that built his personality and turned him into the man he becomes happened on Paradis. After this battle, we get to see where Reiner's necessary evils have led him. I mentioned in my last video that Attack on Titan shows us different characters chasing their dreams, and the viewer is left to decide which outcome is the best. For Erwin, he died before achieving his dream, but with Reiner, I believe he achieved his initial dream of acceptance by this point in the story. The dream of being accepted by Marley and his family. In large parts, he's seen as a hero by those closest to him. Gabi and the other warrior candidates look up to him, and he seems to have been accepted by his mother, since she gets to be an honorary Marleyan thanks to his sacrifices. Though, all of this isn't enough for Reiner. He's still haunted by the memories of his past.
Wait!
He's still struggling to come to terms with his actions on Paradis. This is why he snaps at Falco when he suggests that inheriting one of the Titans is nothing short of an honor. I think he does this as a way of convincing himself of the lie he tells himself. We know from back on Paradis that he was unsure if his actions were the right thing to do, and by this point he's already chosen his path. So he snaps at Falco when he senses the same doubt he sees in himself. But I don't think that's the only reason he does this, because of his last comment. He's hinting to Falco that he's right, but if he truly wants to save Gabi from the dark future Titan Shifters face, he'll need the resolve Reiner didn't.
That said, if she keeps on performing at the level she has been, she'll get the armor.
Yeah. The girl who looks up to you more than anyone will inherit your Titan, and will die at age 27. And that's if an artillery shell doesn't take her down first. Are you really okay with that?
Did you just say what I think you did? How dare you claim that inheriting one of the 9 is less than an honor? If I choose to report this, it'll be you and your family dropped out of an airship as Titans next.
Wait, please don't do that. I'm so sorry. Allow me to correct myself. I, warrior candidate Falco Grice, wish to atone for my ancestors' crimes and for my wicked blood. Towards that end, I pledge my life to Marley.
And what are your thoughts on the honor of inheriting one of the 9, warrior candidate?
Inheriting one of the 9 makes you an honorary Marleyan. Nothing would make me prouder than to be given such a chance to display my loyalty to the motherland.
Then you must want to inherit the armor.
I don't just want to inherit the armor. I have to.
That's right. Surpass Gabi to protect her. Spare her from the dark future we face.
Because he knows inheriting one of the 9 isn't an honor. He's seen firsthand the pain he's caused with this power. It's the same pain which causes his nightmares. One of the most interesting scenes for me when it comes to Reiner's personality is when he's telling his family a story over dinner about the devils of Paradis. I think at this moment we get to see Reiner's mask slip a little. His family believes those people to be savage, heartless monsters, and Reiner's story opens up as such, but his following stories are anything but. Of the 4 years he spent amongst these devils, the only stories he can think to tell them are rather trivial.
No, I can tell you some things. As you know, I infiltrated their military. As expected, they acted like devils. Each of them was savage and cruel. During our induction, one devil started eating a potato. When the instructor yelled at her, she told him without hesitation that she stole it because it looked good. She knew she'd crossed a line, so she bribed the instructor by offering him half the potato. However, the half she offered him was visibly smaller than her half. They don't even know what compromise means there. Each of them was more hopeless than the last. There was one guy so stupid he'd forget why he'd gone into the bathroom. An insincere jerk who only ever thought about himself. A soft-hearted oaf who only ever thought of others. A brave but single-minded fool, and a bunch of chumps who followed his lead. Alongside all those different people stood me and my comrades. The time that we spent there was truly hell. I said way too much. Forget it.
What do you mean by different people? They're bad people, right?
Of course they are, Gabi. They're all devils, and they're holding this whole world by the throat. They could unleash their army of huge titans at any moment, and crush us all beneath their feet. They aren't anything like you and me. We're good Eldians, and we have to stop them. We have to punish the wicked Eldians who abandoned us, who fled and built themselves a paradise on top of a mountain of corpses.
It's hard to tell why Reiner's mum reacts this way. I like to think it's the first seeds of doubt in her mind, and she's realizing that what she's been told of Paradis isn't true, which is what leads her to her shift at the end of the story. But it could also be that she really believes what Reiner just told them was truly evil, and she's shocked to her that her son put up with this for the past 4 years. Though I doubt this. I lean more towards her feeling doubt, because when she senses that same doubt in Gabi, when she questions Reiner's story, she shuts her down, reinforcing in her the idea that the people of Paradis are truly evil, because by this point in the story we know that any doubt about Marley's propaganda won't end well. Shortly after this scene, we're revealed that Marley plans to return to Paradis again, and let's just say Reiner isn't too pleased with this prospect.
Will I have to go back to that damn island?
The following episode, we're taken through Reiner's memories as he relives the scars of his past, his time as a warrior candidate, and his subsequent years once infiltrating Paradis, before ending on a memory of Reiner encouraging Eren as he notices one of the many parallels with himself. I think this is one of the first time where Reiner's act of gaining these people's trust isn't an act anymore. He's starting to realize they're the same as him. The thought of returning to this place and facing the friends he's betrayed becomes too much for him to bear. He doesn't hold the same resolve he had during his reveal. In fact, I believe in this moment he's realized he made the wrong choice. He can't face the idea that he'll have to relive those memories and make the same mistakes he had before. This time, he'll take his own life to avoid repeating his mistake.
Just do what you have to. Keep moving forward. That's all we can do.
Right. Thanks for the advice.
You're gonna butcher all the Titans, right? I'm sure you can do it.
Damn it. If nothing changes, then...
That's right. I still have them.
And this probably isn't the first time Reiner has considered this option since returning home. It's only after finding out that there's a real chance of him returning to Paradis that he takes this action. He's only brought back through Falco's inadvertent banging on the wall outside. Reiner remarks he still has them, and I think this serves two meanings. It reminds Reiner that he does still have people in Marley that he cared about, which would be harmed from his suicide, either emotionally or physically, due to his betrayal of Marley. And secondly, if he lives, there's hope he'll be able to make a change through the other warrior candidates, hopefully helping them to avoid the mistakes he's made.
I wanted to become a warrior because I thought it would make my mom's wish to live with me and my father come true. But my father never wanted any part of us. Mom lived for a dream that she knew was hopeless. I should have never been chosen. I should have died today. Why apologize? And why save someone like me? This can't end with me doing nothing, knowing nothing. Before I die, I need to change something.
If he can't make a change during his life, at least he can create the possibility through teaching the future generation, because if he dies now, he'll only be replaced by others. But the only way to see that is if he keeps moving forward.
Every day I've spent here, I've wondered, how did all these people let it come to this? Minds and bodies ruined, dreams of freedom erased, personalities burned away. No one would want to go to war if they knew what it would do to them. But it's not like we all leapt into that hell knowingly. Most of us were pushed. Some of us were pushed by other people. And some of us were pushed by the environments we grew up in. So, the few who do choose to leap into hell see it differently than the rest. And they're also able to see something beyond the hell. Maybe that something is hope. Or maybe it's just another hell. Fact is, you can only find out by moving forward.
But it doesn't matter if Reiner goes back or not, because they're coming to him, and history will repeat itself, only this time he'll be on the receiving end of those decisions. Reiner comes face to face with his past when he's reintroduced to Eren by Falco, and all that resolve he'd just built up in the previous episode is shattered, and he begs Eren to kill him. It just reinforces the idea of how split he is with his actions. He has those moments of acceptance before he's dragged back into his depression and guilt. And because of this guilt, he lays himself bare at Eren's feet, revealing the truth behind why he'd done all those necessary evils. It wasn't just that he thought he was saving humanity. Reiner wanted to become a hero. He wanted the acceptance that comes with it, the admiration, and the knowledge of knowing you've achieved something worthwhile with your life and the sacrifices you've made.
Reiner, I'm the same as you. But you were taught that the people in the walls weren't like you, that we were demons. You were just kids who got brainwashed. Hatred was part of your training. As young as you were, how could you have fought that? You couldn't have. And well, it looks like you've already paid.
No! You're wrong, Eren! That day, when the Titan got Marcel, Annie and Bertolt wanted to end the mission right then. And they would've. But I convinced them to keep going. Not just to save my own skin, but because I wanted to become a hero. I wanted to be respected. It's my fault. The truth is, your mother was eaten by a Titan because of me. I can't take this anymore. Please, just kill me.
I was right. I am the same as you.
I ask each of you to join me as I go to fight the devils with...
I think maybe we were born this way. I'll just keep moving forward. Till I killed my enemies.
In this moment, I believe Eren accepts him, because they're in a similar position now, so he can no longer judge him the same way he had in the forest. Eren knows what's to come, and it can't be avoided, similarly to how Reiner had felt. When Eren tells Reiner they're the same, I think there are many ways this can be interpreted. When I first saw this scene, I believed it was foreshadowing the attack on Liberio, similarly to how Reiner and Bert had killed innocents when they had first broken the wall. But looking back after the story's conclusion, I think there is more meaning to it. Eren has lived among these people for some time, just like Reiner had, and he's come to see them as people just like those from his home. They're not all evil. There's also the fact by this point Eren has tried to change the future he's seen, but he can't. He knows he can only keep moving forward, even if he's unsure that it's the right decision. And just like Reiner, we know Eren is torn over the decisions he's made and will have to make. We've seen Eren grapple with guilt and remorse for his actions the same way Reiner does. There's so many similarities with Eren and Reiner, and this scene does a brilliant job at alluding to them subtly. I've tried to explain some of the meaning behind the scene, but I'm sure I'm missing countless others, so feel free to correct me in the comments. Another great thing about this scene is that, like the viewer, the characters also begin to understand the hidden meaning in Eren's words during this scene. Reiner had first thought that this was foreshadowing the attack on Liberio, like I think most viewers would initially think. But he starts to piece together the clues that maybe Eren doesn't want to go down this path. He wants to be stopped, the same way Reiner wishes he had been.
Reiner, I shouldn't have judged you. I'm sorry. I became a murderer to protect the lives of other people, just like you. I can't pretend your sins are greater than my own. You know, Eren told me something similar, just before the Liberio raid. Right now, I feel like I might have some idea what's going on in his mind. Do you think he might be hoping we can beat him?
Reiner couldn't stop himself, but I'm sure looking back he wishes he could, or that someone or something else could have stopped him. That way, he would have avoided the subsequent regret of his actions. Reiner's story concludes on a relatively positive note. He doesn't get the forgiveness for what he's done, but he's once again accepted by his old friends. This comes about after many of his former friends oppose the Jaegerists and commit similar betrayals to their former comrades in much the same way Reiner had. Coupled with the rumbling, Reiner and many of the scouts are in the same boat, doing necessary evils for what they believe to be the best options for humanity and their friends. They can no longer judge him without being hypocrites. Reiner comforts them when he sees them going through the same internal conflict he struggled with. He explains that they're not doing all these actions for forgiveness, but they have to try and do everything within their power, even if it'll never be enough to atone.
I carved up people I've known since we were cadets. They died cursing my name, calling me a traitor, while I told myself I was saving the world. Was it the same for your team? You, Bertolt, and Annie? Is this what it felt like?
Yeah. I know my sins are beyond redemption. I doubt I'll ever forgive myself, even if we save what's left of humanity. Still, we've got to try, even knowing it'll never be enough.
I needed to hear that. Thank you. It won't make up for all we've done, but still, we gotta do what we can.
I could probably go on discussing even more scenes with Reiner, but I feel I'd be repeating myself, going over themes we've already discussed. Reiner's my favourite character from Attack on Titan, so I hope I've done him some justice with this video. And even if I haven't, I'm sure someone will let me know in the comments. And if you've made it this far in the video, thank you so much for watching, especially if you watched part 1. And also, to the one person who disliked part 1, I will find you, and I will kill